You walk into a room and something is wrong. Maybe your shirt is inside out. Maybe you said something stupid in a meeting 10 minutes ago and replayed it 17 times on the walk over. Maybe you just realized there is a stain on your shirt the size of a coin and it has been there since breakfast. And you are absolutely certain that everyone noticed. Every person in that room saw it, judged it, added it to some permanent file they keep about you in their head. You can feel their eyes on the back of your neck like heat. But here is the strange part. They didn't. Most of them didn't notice at all. The few who glanced your way forgot about it before they reached for their coffee. And the ones who did notice have already moved on to worrying about their own shirt, their own mistake, their own invisible disaster. This is the spotlight effect. And once you understand how it works, you will realize you have been living inside a lie your brain tells you several times a day. Most people assume the feeling is accurate. If you feel watched, you probably are. Social anxiety, paranoia, low self-esteem. Pick your explanation. The common story is simple. You are the main character. The room is the audience. But that's not quite right. And the real answer is far stranger than you'd expect. Because the spotlight effect isn't a personality flaw. It's a factory setting. Your brain ships with it. And it was installed for reasons that made perfect sense long before conference rooms, first dates, or group chats existed. Let's start with the experiment. Because the evidence is almost uncomfortable in how clear it is. In the late 1990s, a psychologist named Thomas Gilovich at Cornell University became obsessed with a specific question. When people feel embarrassed in public, how much of that embarrassment is actually shared by the people around them? He teamed up with graduate student Gilovich Savitsky and designed a study that was almost cruel in its simplicity. They brought students into a room and told them to put on an embarrassing t-shirt. Not mildly awkward. Embarrassing. The shirt had a giant picture of Barry Manilow on it. If you don't know who that is, ask your parents. The point is that college students in the 1990s did not want to be seen wearing Barry Manilow on their chest. Then they sent those students into a room full of peers. Afterward, Gilovich asked a straightforward question. What percentage of the people in that room do you think noticed your shirt? The average guess was about 50%. Half the room. Maybe more. The students were confident. They had felt the stares. They had felt the judgment radiating off every chair. Then Gilovich asked the observers, "Did you notice the shirt?" The actual number was closer to 25%, 1 in 4. Not half. Not a silent jury. A quarter of the room, and most of those people couldn't even remember what was on the shirt 5 minutes later. The students weren't lying about how they felt. They genuinely believed the spotlight was on them. But the spotlight was mostly in their head. Gilovich and Savitsky ran follow-up studies. They tested bad haircuts. They tested stumbling over words during a presentation. They tested walking into a seminar late. Different situations, same pattern. You overestimate how much people notice. You overestimate how much they care. You overestimate how long the moment lives in their memory after it's over. They called it the spotlight effect. The feeling that you are on stage and everyone in the audience can see every flaw in real time. But here's what's fascinating. The error isn't random. It's directional. You don't generally think strangers are paying more attention to your good days. You don't walk into a room thinking everyone noticed your excellent posture or your particularly confident handshake. The spotlight turns on for embarrassment, for shame, for anything that threatens your standing in the group. Your brain is not trying to make you miserable for fun. It's running threat detection software that was written a very long time ago. For most of human history, being watched by your group wasn't abstract. It was survival. If the tribe decided you were unreliable, strange, or dangerous, the consequences were not social discomfort. They were exile, and exile for most of our ancestors meant death. Not metaphorically, literally. So the brain learned to scan constantly. How am I being seen? Did I just do something that lowers my status? Is anyone noticing the mistake? That monitoring system kept people alive. It made us cooperative. It made us care about reputation. It built the social glue that allowed villages, then cities, then civilizations to exist. The problem is that the software never got an update. Modern. You walks into a grocery store in sweatpants at 11 p.m., and your brain treats it like a tribal council meeting. A typo in a work email registers like a public humiliation on the savannah. A stain on your shirt feels like evidence that will be discussed for years. It won't be. And here's the part nobody talks about. The people you think are judging you are standing in their own spotlight. Right now, while you're worrying about your hair, the person across from you is replaying something dumb they said last Tuesday. The person behind you is convinced everyone noticed they wore the same jacket twice this week. The person who made eye contact with you for half a second wasn't cataloging your flaws. They were wondering if they had something in their teeth. This is called the illusion of transparency's cousin. Not only do you think people see you more clearly than they do, you also forget that they are mostly busy seeing themselves. Psychologists call this egocentric bias, not egotism. Egocentrism in the technical sense. You are the center of your own experience, so you project that center onto everyone else's attention. You are not the main character of their day. You are a background extra in most of the scenes you worry about. But that's only half the story, because something in the last 15 years turned the spotlight from a flickering bulb into a stadium floodlight. Social media didn't invent self-consciousness. Humans have been performing for each other since firelight and campfires. But it did something new. It gave you an audience that never leaves. Every post is a potential judgment. Every photo is evidence. Every comment section is a room that doesn't close when you walk out of it. You don't just imagine people watching you now. You can scroll through proof that people are watching other people, comparing, ranking, reacting. The brain sees a global scoreboard and assumes you're on it even when you're not. An awkward moment from 2019 can feel permanent because your phone makes permanence tangible. You can revisit it, you can magnify it, you can build a case file against yourself one screenshot at a time. And the spotlight effect feeds on that permanence. If attention feels infinite, embarrassment feels infinite too. Researchers have found that people who spend more time on social platforms report higher social comparison and stronger fear of negative evaluation. Not because those platforms created the fear, because they gave the fear a place to live 24 hours a day. Your ancestors worried about the tribe for an hour around the fire. You worry about the tribe every time you unlock your screen. So what actually helps? Not positive thinking. Not pretending nobody ever notices. Sometimes people do notice. The Cornell study found 25%, not zero. The point isn't that you are invisible. The point is the ratio. You feel like 100 people saw everything. Usually it's 3, and 2 of them forgot by lunch. Gilovich spent years on this research, and his conclusion was quieter than people expect. Other people are not paying as much attention to you as you think. And the attention they do pay fades faster than your brain allows you to believe. The moment that haunts you at 2 a.m. is not haunting them. They are busy with their own Barry Manilow shirt, their own inside-out tag, their own sentence they wish they could unsay. Every person you have ever met carries a private archive of embarrassment they are certain everyone else remembers. Almost nobody does. You have been walking through rooms like they are courts and you are on trial. Most of the time, the jury never showed up. The courtroom was empty. And the judge was you. The spotlight effect isn't a curse. It's a misfire. An old alarm ringing in a house that isn't on fire. You can't uninstall it. But you can learn to hear it for what it is. A voice that kept your ancestors alive. One that doesn't know the room has changed. And the next time you feel every eye on you, ask one question. If they weren't watching you, what would they be watching instead? The answer is almost always themselves. And that might be the most freeing thing your brain has ever refused to tell you.